The entire world economy tanking with record market losses, people confined to their homes for almost a month with no end in sight. And guess who's bearing the brunt of this virus? You guessed it right, women, at least to the opinion of Marine Farouki. Now before we begin this video, guys, make sure to drop a like on it, share it, comment on it. Your interactions really help it spread it around, especially when it would be demonetized because it's talking about the virus, which is not allowed at all on YouTube if you want your video to be monetized. Obviously not for the money, because with the amount of views I get, it's not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal because if the video is demonetized, the algorithm swallows it whole and it won't get promoted as much. So that's why I need you to offset the algorithm promotion with your organic promotion of the video. And if you want to support this channel, obviously you can go to Patreon and subscribe. Thank you for all of you guys who joined recently in supporting this channel. It really enables me to upload those videos to you as often as I can. Obviously I didn't upload anything this week because there wasn't a lot of SJW related news until we found this terrific woman who wanted to make it all about herself. And in my opinion, this virus should not be politicized. We all need to come together and fight it and not make it about men and women, which is stupid. Obviously, she's grifting for her base, which is the intersectional type. Probably she doesn't believe it, but it's still a very, very bad message to put out. So let's watch the video and then we'll talk about it.
Let us not forget that COVID-19 is a gendered crisis. Nurses, nurse aides, teachers, child carers, and early childhood educators, aged care workers, and cleaners are mostly women. They are on the front line of this public health crisis.
So first of all, she's right that nurses and nurse aides and every other profession she described right now is predominantly represented by women, but except for nurses and nurse aides, the other workers are supposed to be at home. Teachers, child carers, they're non-essential workers. So as far as I know, in my country and now in the UK as well, they don't go to school, and that's probably everywhere around the world. Most of them do online classes, so the argument doesn't stand there for all of those workers she just mentioned. I think doctors are predominantly men, so it balances out the nurses' argument, which is weird to make in the first place, because as we have this data piece from CNN article, it says that they found there were 106 diagnosed men per 100 women. So essentially it's an even spread, with men having 6 more cases per 100 women cases, which makes it 60 more men per 1,000. If you go to a million, what's that? That's quick math, 60,000 more men per 1 million women, which is negligible. So her argument is really weird and wrong to make.
And carry a disproportionate risk of being exposed to the virus.
Which we proved is wrong.
Let's also not forget that not all homes are safe places. Quarantine or self-isolation at home will put women and children at risk. Women's advocates and domestic violence experts are warning us that domestic abuse increases during times of crisis.
Okay, so this is a stupid point to make as well. Domestic abuse, as far as I remember, is a 50-50 split, oddly enough. You can look into the stats and find it out yourself. Men don't carry, they're evenly represented in the domestic abuse situation, because some women do abuse men, which is weird to think for most of us, because we don't imagine ourselves in that position, but it does happen equally to the amount of time women abuse men abuse women. Sorry. This is also a stupid argument to make because the virus is not creating new domestic abuse cases by turning men who were non-violent into suddenly violent people who are going to abuse their spouses, which is another weird argument to make. Not only that, but also those men who suffer the same amount of domestic abuse will have to face it as well with their abusive wives at home. So again, that's another stupid argument she's making.
And I'm terribly worried that these warnings have not been heeded by this government that has long resisted adequate funding for the needed resources and refuges.
Okay, so one final point I'd like to make is that she says COVID-19 is a gendered crisis, which not only is narcissistic and a piece of shit statement to make, not because even if it's factually true, I think it's very narcissistic, and and you're trying to make a worldwide crisis all about you, a worldwide crisis where people died, uh, families lost their loved ones, people are confined to their homes, accruing endless bills, and at the best case scenario, getting government payments, which will uh, just enlarge the deficit in case of the American economy, in other places in the world as well. So people are really struggling right now, and she tries to make it all about herself, all about women, which is stupid. Not only that, but judging by her being a Pakistani Muslim woman from the UK, which is something, by the way, that's in one of her tweets. I didn't just randomly yeah. See, feminist engineer migrant. Look at her pin tweet. I'm a woman. I'm a migrant. I'm a Muslim. I'm a mother. She obviously is signaling to her intersectional base, which funnily enough would it kind of contradicts her statement, because if you follow the intersectional theory, you know that they say that gender is a social construct, therefore you can identify however you want. Uh, Men and women are binary, and you have a ton of non-binary genders. Why is it relevant to her argument? Because if women are if she says that it's a gendered crisis, why don't they just identify as men, which won't change the situation? It will just make them men who suffer from the virus more, unless she's making the argument that gender is strictly tied to biological sex, and that's why women suffer more from the COVID-19, which we proved to be wrong from this data. As you can see, it's an even spread with men suffering more confirmed cases. But if you look at the death tab, you see that men have 63% of the death, which is most significant, meaning they have 2/3 of the death cases. Not only that, but this is photo online, so take it with a grain of salt. But I've heard it countless times that women are affected differently by the virus. This is obviously an article she's sharing. Look at this. Where is it? Where is it? Estrogen has a protective effect. When scientists block estrogen products in animals, they become more susceptible to coronaviruses and they get worse symptoms, which is something that's been reported ton of times, that women suffer more of the quote-unquote mild cases, which are awful as well. But still, she's just spouting ignorant shit just to virtue signal to our base and make it all about feminism, when COVID-19 is a worldwide crisis that we all should address, and it has nothing to do with men or women, just humanity overall, sorry. So yeah, I guess that's the entire video. I think it's a little bit shorter than the usual ones. Yeah, Leave your opinions in the comments, guys. I'd love to hear what you think. I think she's a total piece of things that you can't say on YouTube because the video will be uh, age gated and demonetized, best case scenario. But yeah, leave your opinions in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the newest videos. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.